Let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a moment where everything was riding on you? A tough conversation, a big decision, a high stakes situation, and instead of thinking clearly, your mind just went blank? Or worse, it went into overdrive. Racing thoughts, second guessing, chest tight, palms sweaty. And the harder you tried to think straight, the more scrambled everything got. Here's the thing. That's not a you problem. That's a brain problem. And once you understand exactly what's happening inside your head during pressure, you can flip it around in seconds. Today, I'm going to show you how the world's highest performing people, CEOs, surgeons, elite athletes, think clearly when everything is on the line. 3 simple mental shifts that stop the spiral and put you back in control. Fast. But stay with me until the end, because the final step is the one most people never hear about. And without it, the whole framework falls apart. Let's start with why overthinking happens at all. When pressure hits, your brain does something automatic. It switches modes. Your thinking brain, the part that reasons, plans, and solves problems, gets overridden by your survival brain, the part that only knows 3 things: fight, run, freeze. That's why smart people say stupid things under pressure. That's why experienced people blank on things they know cold. It's not about intelligence. It's about which part of your brain is currently driving. And here's the mistake almost everyone makes. They try to calm down first. They tell themselves to breathe, relax, stop panicking. But trying to suppress the survival brain while it's already activated is like trying to whisper over a fire alarm. It doesn't work. You need a different approach entirely. That's where the first shift comes in. Shift 1. Rename the feeling. Here's something most people don't know. Pressure and excitement produce identical physical sensations in your body. Racing heart, heightened alertness, shallow breathing, tension in the chest. Your body cannot tell the difference between the two. Only your brain's interpretation changes everything. Harvard researcher Alison Wood studied this exact phenomenon. She found that people who said, "I am excited" before a high-pressure performance significantly outperformed those who tried to calm themselves down. Not because excitement is better than calm, but because excitement is closer to what your body is already feeling. You're not fighting the physical state. You're redirecting it. So the next time pressure hits, don't say calm down. Say this instead: I'm not panicking. I'm ready. One sentence, that's the switch. Your brain receives a different signal, and the survival response loses its grip almost immediately. But what if your mind is already 3 steps ahead? Catastrophizing, playing out worst-case scenarios on a loop. That's where the next shift comes in, and this one is powerful. Shift 2, shrink the window. When people fall apart under pressure, it's almost never because of what's happening right now. It's because their brain is simultaneously managing the present moment and every possible future consequence at the same time. That mental load is crushing. No one thinks clearly under that weight. High performers do something different. They shrink the window, they ask one question: what is the only thing that matters in the next 60 seconds? Not the next hour, not the outcome, not what people will think, just the next 60 seconds. A surgeon doesn't think about the recovery room while they're operating. A quarterback doesn't think about the post-game press conference mid-throw. They shrink the window to what's directly in front of them. And in that narrow focus, clarity returns almost instantly. Try it right now. Think of something that's been causing you pressure lately. Now ask, what is the only action that matters in the next 60 seconds? Not the whole solution, just the next move. Feel what happens in your body when the window shrinks. The noise drops, the weight lifts. You can think again. That's your thinking brain coming back online. Both of these shifts are reactive. You use them after pressure hits. But what if you could rewire your brain so pressure doesn't hijack you as easily in the first place? That's what the third shift does. And this is the one you cannot miss. Shift 3, the controlled discomfort practice. The reason pressure overwhelms most people is simple. Their brain has no reference point for it. Every high-stakes moment feels like an emergency because their nervous system has never been trained to recognize pressure as survivable. Top performers fix this deliberately. They voluntarily put themselves in uncomfortable situations on a regular basis, not to suffer, but to teach their brain one lesson. Discomfort doesn't mean danger. You can think clearly here. You've been here before. It doesn't have to be dramatic. Cold water for 30 seconds in the shower. Speaking first in a room full of people. Making a decision without asking anyone's opinion. Doing the hard conversation instead of postponing it. Small, voluntary doses of discomfort, done consistently. What happens over time is remarkable. Your brain stops treating pressure as an anomaly. It starts treating it as familiar territory. And familiar territory doesn't trigger the survival response the same way. This is what separates people who consistently perform under pressure from people who occasionally get lucky. It's not talent, it's training. Quiet, daily, unglamorous training that most people never do because it's uncomfortable on purpose. Now imagine combining all three. Pressure hits. You rename the feeling, I'm not panicking. I'm ready. You shrink the window. What's the only thing that matters in the next 60 seconds? And underneath all of it, your brain already knows from weeks of small discomforts that this feeling is survivable. That combination is what elite performance actually looks like. From the inside. Not calm, not fearless, just clear. Here's the truth most people never learn. Thinking under pressure is a skill, not a personality trait. Not something you either have or don't. A skill. One that can be built, sharpened, and made reliable. You just learned how to rename the feeling so your brain stops fighting itself. How to shrink the window so clarity returns in seconds. And how to train your nervous system. So pressure stops feeling like an emergency. The next time everything is riding on you, you'll know exactly what to do. Because falling apart was never the only option. It just felt that way before you knew how your brain actually works.